And it's so, you've got no idea how I feel. Man. Thank you for...
Good morning.
Was that me?
Jagger. Say good morning.
Good morning.
Poor man died. I heard it with my own ears, and the speaker was a singer who had shared the stage with me.
On July 22, 2012, Ozzy Osbourne took his last breath in Birmingham at the age of 76. The legendary British rock icon officially closed a career marked by both glory and controversy. However, just 6 hours after his death, a shocking secret was brought to light. His personal lawyer unexpectedly released a top-secret 37-minute audio recording. In this tape, Ozzy personally named 5 singers who had once stood by his side throughout his musical journey. Individuals who, according to him, had always secretly wished for his early demise. One of them had kicked Ozzy off a tour with nothing more than a brief phone call in the middle of the night. Another had casually whispered in front of the entire crew, "If he dies, I'll be the one who benefits the most." So, who are these 5 individuals? Who once held his hand on stage only to stab him in the back behind the scenes? The long-buried secrets of Ozzy Osbourne are about to be unveiled. MC Jagger. He'd been wishing for my death since 1985. The first name Ozzy Osbourne mentioned in his final recording was none other than Mick Jagger, the eternal icon of British rock and the frontman of the legendary band, the Rolling Stones. To millions of fans, Mick was the charming gentleman, the fierce breath of innovation in the 1960s and the ideal figure on the British music stage. But to Ozzy, he was the embodiment of deceit, a dark power cunningly concealed beneath expensive suits and an arrogant smile. On July 13, 1985, at the historic Live Aid concert held at Wembley Stadium in London, Ozzy was waiting backstage preparing to perform. But at that very moment, MC Jagger walked past him as if Ozzy were nothing more than an anonymous stagehand. His name wasn't mentioned once over the walkie-talkie. No soundcheck was scheduled for him, and unsurprisingly, he was completely absent from the official lineup. I heard everyone's names echoing everywhere. Bono, Elton, Sting, but not a single soul called out Ozzy. I stood there like a shadow. And when Jagger brushed past me, his eyes said it all. He didn't want me anywhere near that show. After Live Aid, Ozzy proposed organizing the Rock Legacy Tour '88, a tour meant to unite the greatest legends of rock with the Rolling Stones as the central act. In response, MC Jagger's camp remained completely silent. Not a word of reply, not even a courtesy message. From that point on, as if some silent curse had taken hold, Ozzy's name began to vanish from nomination lists, from performance lineups at major events, and even his live TV interviews were abruptly cut off mid-broadcast. According to his lawyer, Michael Jennings, the keeper of the final recording, Ozzy once hired a personal assistant solely to monitor the Grammy Awards guest list in 1989. Strangely, every time Mick's name appeared on the list, Ozzy's would mysteriously disappear at the last minute. By 1991, Dylan Lan, a production assistant at MTV Europe, confirmed to journalist Simon Frith that MC Jagger had officially submitted a written request to the Berlin Music Awards organizers demanding Ozzy be removed from the stage. The Asian wording of the warning read, "If Ozzy steps on that stage, the Rolling Stones will pull out all contracts, sponsorships, and media campaigns." The tension reached its peak in 1992 at a backstage after-party following the MTV Awards in Los Angeles, where the two happened to run into each other. According to several witnesses, after a few strong drinks, Ozzy proactively approached Mick to confront him. The conversation quickly escalated into a full-blown brawl. Fists flew, glass shattered, and security rushed in to break it up, but it was too late. Ozzy landed a punch that made Mick bleed from the mouth, while Ozzy himself was shoved and hit his head on the DJ table. Just 8 minutes later, the Los Angeles police arrived and detained both for disturbing the peace and assault. The media erupted with headlines like "Legendary Clash Ozzy vs. Mick." Blood spilled at the MTV Awards as reported by the LA Chronicle. The Rolling Stones management then quietly paid $250,000 to settle the matter out of court and demanded all CCTV footage be erased from the venue's security system. Nevertheless, a short clip was leaked and circulated widely in music journalism circles for quite some time, shaking the polished public image MC Jagger had so carefully built. 2 years later, at the Rock am Ring Music Festival in Germany, Ozzy was scheduled to perform during the prime time slot at 8 p.m. However, on the day of the show, his set was abruptly rescheduled to 3 p.m. with no prior notice. His opening track was muted halfway through and the stage lights shut off right as he was singing. Walking backstage in utter confusion, Ozzy saw MC Jagger sitting with the show's director, whiskey glass in hand, legs crossed, wearing a smug smile, as if the whole scene had been orchestrated by him. I knew he was behind it all. He enjoyed watching me flail in the dark, watching me get pushed out of the spotlight. He never wanted to share the crown with someone like me, Ozzy said in his final recording. Jagger despised me because I was filthy, because I represented the dark side of rock, bloody and wild. And I despised him because he was too clean. Because he always wanted to be the king of a stage where there was no room for rebels like me. And after MC Jagger's name, Ozzy mentioned a second person. No longer the polished gentleman, but a traitor, someone who once idolized him, but then turned his back right in the dazzling lights of Los Angeles in 1992. Mo Lamb 2 Axl Rose, the bitter betrayal from his own protege. If there was ever someone who plunged Ozzy Osbourne into a whirlwind of pain, bitterness, contempt, and sheer rage, it was none other than Axl Rose. In the final recording of his life, Ozzy didn't once refer to Axl as a singer, artist, or even a colleague. He used only one word: ingrate. In 1990, when Guns N' Roses was entangled in a contract crisis with Geffen Records and facing the risk of having the entire Use Your Illusion project put on hold, it was Ozzy who secretly wired $50,000, introduced his personal attorney from London to help renegotiate the contract terms, and invited Axl to join the 1990 European tour as a guest artist. Not only that, he even dedicated an intro riff in the song Do Messiah for Axl to try out lyrics and honor no one had ever received before except members of the Osbourne family. But just 2 years later, during a historic concert night at the Forum in Los Angeles featuring Metallica and Guns N' Roses, Ozzy, who had been invited to perform the opening act as a tribute, had his set abruptly slashed down to just 15 minutes right before going on stage. This wasn't a technical error. It was a deliberate arrangement. As Ozzy reached the climax of his performance of War Pigs, the ALED screen behind him suddenly switched to display a promotional trailer for Guns N' Roses' upcoming Destruction 92 tour. The sound system desynchronized and the stage lights flickered chaotically as if under attack. Before the stunned eyes of thousands of fans, Ozzy's set crumbled into utter chaos. In the VIP area, Axl Rose was caught on paparazzi cameras, legs crossed, smirking, raising his beard toward the stage as if celebrating a victory. Just hours after the event, social media exploded with the hashtag #AussyFlopped. Hundreds of accounts simultaneously posted the exact same message. The Prince of Darkness, it's time to retire. An internal investigation by Kerrang revealed that over 80% of these accounts had been created within 48 hours and were directly linked to the satellite media team of Guns N' Roses. Spin magazine once published an article titled Ozzy, the Uninvited Ghost at the Party of the Century, but the piece was taken down within 6 hours without explanation. According to an anonymous source, Axl's team threatened to sue for defamation if the article implied any conspiracy from Guns N' Roses. But what hurt and infuriated Ozzy the most wasn't the stage sabotage or media manipulation. It was the cold, calculated silence from the man who once called him brother. No apology, no message of explanation. Only a single anonymous interview in the LA Times, where an unnamed source, whom everyone knew was Axl, described Ozzy as a rusted relic from a bygone age. The peak of betrayal came in March 1993. As Ozzy's Blackened Cross tour was about to launch, he began receiving a series of anonymous letters threatening his wife, children, and technical crew. One letter read, "Don't let Ozzy step on the New Jersey stage or there will be blood." Though the fingerprints were untraceable, the word illusion written ink instead of a signature gave Ozzy reason to believe Axl was behind it, spreading fear, just like showbiz cowards often do. At the New Jersey show, a group of people in Guns N' Roses shirts suddenly rushed the area in front of the stage, shouting and waving mocking banners that read, "Old Man Bites Bat." Security had to intervene. 7 people were arrested and several audience members suffered minor injuries. Ozzy nearly cancelled the entire tour due to the psychological trauma. After that incident, Ozzy issued a strict internal order. The name Axl Rose was not to be mentioned in any tour meeting. No Guns N' Roses songs were to be performed. No interviews were to reference Axl, and no contact of any kind was to be made. In a personal journal entry leaked in 2006, he wrote a single cold sentence, "The snake that sings." Ozzy had always despised the phoniness of the entertainment world. And to him, Axl embodied it perfectly. A man who once sobbed in a Malibu recording studio, calling Ozzy his musical mentor, but later copied the riff from Doom Messiah, turned it into the intro for Breakdown on the Use Your Illusion 2 album and insisted it was an entirely original composition. Axl Rose the traitor. Ozzy, once nurtured like a younger brother, was the second name on the blacklist he left behind. And the third, another global icon. A woman who once held Ozzy's hand on live television, professed her love in every Hollywood language imaginable and turned him into a laughingstock before the entire world in just one night. 3. Madonna, the only woman named in The Voice of Hatred. Throughout his 76 years of life and over half a century in the music industry, Ozzy Osbourne was repeatedly betrayed, sidelined from stages, and blatantly disrespected. Yet, in the audio recording released by his personal lawyer, Paul Jennings, on the morning of July 22, 2025, only one woman's name was ever mentioned. That name is Madonna Louise Chic 1. I was so naive back then, Ozzy bluntly admits in the recording. I trusted that she genuinely wanted to collaborate. But in the end, I poured my money, my effort, and even my reputation into her hands as if I were a mere tool, and I was cast aside onto the pavement like a torn stage costume. The story began in late 1994 backstage at the MTV Europe Music Awards in Berlin. Madonna approached first, embracing Ozzy right in front of the cameras. The press hailed that moment as the meeting of two icons, but to Ozzy it was the first touch of an elaborate deception. Shortly after that meeting, Madonna proposed a joint music project titled Dark Union. She described it as a blend of darkness and light, rebellion and seduction. And in a rare moment of wanting to reinvent himself, Ozzy agreed. According to financial records provided by Brian Turner, Ozzy's former advisor to Rolling Stone, Ozzy had spent over $275,000 up front for the London studio, the music video production team costumes, and all post-production costs. The copyright agreement was split 50-50 with a formal contract signed by both parties. On the night before the first MV shoot at Pinewood Studios, Madonna even texted Ozzy, "Tomorrow will be the moment that makes the whole world remember our names once again. Thank you for trusting me." But the next morning, she vanished. No warning. No one on her team answered the phone. The entire music project collapsed in less than 12 hours. Less than a week later, on the evening of April 25, 1995, Madonna appeared on The Rosie O'Donnell Show. When asked about Ozzy, she laughed mockingly. "I think he's still wandering in some basement practicing guitar riffs. He probably doesn't even know what the internet is." Audiences laughed, but to Ozzy it was a dagger straight to the heart. The following morning, a surreptitious clip of him singing wrong lyrics at a private party back in 1991 suddenly circulated on music forums. No one confirmed where it came from, but investigative journalist Lynn Barber of The Independent later revealed in her book Dirty Deals. A former assistant in Madonna's team deliberately released that clip with the aim of ending that old man's career as soon as possible. Ozzy's two upcoming shows in Cologne and Milan were cancelled. His record label refused to release his new album due to negative public reaction. Sponsors also pulled out of his 1995 European tour. Worse still, just 1 week after the scandal, Madonna released a new single, Something to Remember, launching a media campaign portraying herself as the woman hurt by being associated with an antiquated rock icon. In an interview with Q magazine, she stated bluntly, "I once considered collaborating with Ozzy, but then I realized I don't belong with a zombie." Ozzy never publicly responded. But in 1996, he quietly released an internal version of the song, Shake Your Head, Eraser version, replacing Madonna's vocals with pounding drums and a screaming segment lasting 23 seconds. The cover, handwritten by Ozzy, contained a single cold line, "I once believed she was an ally, but she turned out to be nothing but the embodiment of evil." Madonna was the only woman Ozzy named, and she was also the only person who made him lost faith in everyone for more than a decade afterwards. 4. Bono the Backstabber without a blink. After bitterly mentioning Madonna, Ozzy paused for a few seconds in the recording considered to be his final testament. No one expected the next name he would utter to be Bono. In the public eye, Bono is a symbol of compassion, a goodwill ambassador once invited to speak at the United Nations and shake hands with 3 consecutive U.S. presidents. But to Ozzy, behind that dashing white suit and gentle smile lies a false priest, a hypocrite who knew how to exploit friendships for personal gain and was more than willing to step on others to climb to the top. In 2002, Bono invited Ozzy to join the Voices for Peace concert series, promising to unite diverse voices for a more peaceful world. Ozzy didn't question it for a moment. The two had embraced backstage in Dublin, and Bono once said, "The world of rock needs you." But it was all a carefully staged act. As it turned out, later the entire concert series was a PR stunt aimed at distracting the media from YouTube's tens of millions euro tax evasion scandal in the Netherlands in late the previous year. Ozzy quickly became a media tool. Though billed as an honorary guest, he had no right to issue press statements and could only appear on television with the U2 team's approval. His statements were edited and trimmed, and his name was even misspelled on the concert poster in Oslo. But the worst came during the Rome concert in August 2002. Backstage, Ozzy suddenly collapsed. Doctors diagnosed him with shock caused by an overdose of a neurological regulator, a drug he had never taken before. According to an independent investigation by journalist Ingrid Mahler of Dwelt, the medication was found in the backpack of an assistant from Bono's team, someone who later left the group and disappeared entirely from the music industry. When the media got involved, the YouTube camp maintained total silence. Bono merely shrugged during a talk show and coldly stated, "I think Ozzy needs some rest. He's exhausted body and soul." A line that sounded harmless, yet was enough to completely destroy Ozzy Osbourne's image in the public eye. And it didn't stop there. Dozens of event organizers across Europe abruptly cancelled Ozzy shows, including a $3.2 million gig in Poland that was scrapped just 48 hours before showtime, citing security concerns. A leaked document from Elevation Partners, a media company directly linked to Bono, issued a warning. Ozzy Osbourne is a high-risk individual, unsuitable for live television appearances. Things escalated further when Bono's team counters sued Ozzy for damaging the organization's reputation, even though they had previously disclaimed responsibility. In the court filings, Bono's legal team even accused Ozzy of demanding triple the performance fee and threatening to cancel unless granted media favoritism. A sponsor in Switzerland even claimed to have been scammed out of $700,000 in backstage deposit fees by someone posing as Ozzy's assistant. Though a later investigation revealed the fake email had been sent from a Dublin IP address linked to an intern who had once worked for U2. The situation reached a boiling point when British police stepped in. In a shocking twist, Ozzy was summoned and detained at Westminster Police Station for 36 hours for investigation. Though released due to lack of evidence, the media had already snapped photos of him being escorted by officers' images that made front pages with headlines like "The Prince of Darkness," "Fraudster," or "Victim." The crisis kept spiraling. Sharon, his wife, sounded by paparazzi at her front door. His daughter, Kelly, received a flood of threatening emails, and his youngest son, Jack, had to forfeit an art scholarship because he didn't want to be asked about his father during interviews. From an unbreakable icon of rock, Ozzy was gradually turned into a highly polarizing figure. On social media, Bono's fan pages went viral with rumors that Ozzy had relapsed into substance abuse. Though no one confirmed it, and no test results ever came back, positive public opinion was ruthless enough to push him off the Billboard charts. For the first time in 30 years, Ozzy remained absent for nearly a full year. In the final recording, Ozzy uttered just one sentence filled with bitterness. "I once saw him as a brother. But in the end, I was just a pawn in his sanctimonious game. And the most painful part is I stepped into that game willingly." And then he mentioned the last name. Not an A-list star, not a polished gentleman, but someone who once stood beneath the stage weeping in admiration for Ozzy only to be the first to crush his reputation at a press conference just to create a scandal for himself. 5. David Bowie, the man who erased Ozzy from the history of music. The last name Ozzy Osbourne mentioned in his final audio recording was one that left listeners stunned. David Bowie. Someone who once held his hand on stage like a soulmate, but was also the very person who dragged him to the lowest point of his career with chillingly subtle and sweetly calculated blows. In 1992, Ozzy and Bowie both appeared at the Stars Reunite Music Festival in Manchester, an event organized by the BBC featuring a lineup of music legends like Elton John, Eric Clapton, and Annie Lennox. After an emotional duet of changes, the two clasped hands and bowed to the audience. That image once graced the cover of NME magazine, described as a perfect blend of classic and modern rock. But from that fateful night onward, everything began to shift dramatically. In the recording, Ozzy confided, "I don't know what I did wrong, but ever since that night, whenever I showed up on any chart, Bowie was always one spot above, and if I dropped, he'd instantly get a promotional boost." The April 1993 issue of Billboard sparked controversy when Ozzy's song See You on the Other Side suddenly dropped 8 positions within 24 hours, making room for Bow's remix of Jump They Say. A technician from Warner Brothers, who remained anonymous in Rolling Stone's investigation, revealed Bowie paid to buy streams from virtual IP addresses in Europe, mostly through a newly launched digital radio set system. That system hadn't been properly secured, and the fake plays were enough to flip the entire chart. Bow's tactics weren't limited to digital manipulation. Ozzy also accused him of deliberately leaking private photos to tarnish his reputation. In August 1994, just as Ozzy was preparing to release his album, The Black Veil, a series of compromising photos showing him intoxicated and seated with 2 young women backstage at a Berlin nightclub suddenly leaked to the Mirror. His wife Sharon Osbourne later confirmed that month we had signed a promotional contract running parallel to Bow's, and only 3 people knew about that night. Bowie was one of them. Following the scandal, Epic Records announced a cutback in the promotional campaign for The Black Veil. Ozzy had to spend over £600,000 out of his own pocket to fund the tour. Yet still saw 4 consecutive shows canceled due to lack of media support. In 1996, Sharon Osbourne formally filed a civil lawsuit in London, accusing Bowie's PR team of intentionally interfering with another's business for personal hound. The VAS was swiftly closed under a full confidentiality agreement, but according to music journalist Peter Griggs, The Independent, the 2 parties reached a private settlement of no less than $1.2 million. The most devastating blow came in 1997. Ozzy nominated Bowie to perform with him at the MTV Europe Music Awards, and the collaboration had been locked in. But during the final rehearsal, Bowie abruptly refused to share the stage and coldly declared at the press conference, "Rock and roll needs those who inspire, not outdated legacies." A remark that seemed offhand yet cut deep like a blade into the heart of a man who once called Bowie his big brother. In his final audio message, Ozzy's voice trembled. "He didn't kill me with a knife. He used the stage lights. He pushed me down and stepped into the spotlight as if I had never existed." David Bowie was the bitterest end. Not because of booze, but because of silence. The silence of someone who was once a friend, but chose to wield fame as a weapon to erase every trace of Ozzy from mainstream music for an entire decade. 6. The final betrayal when the one woman he chose to stay was also the one who left. Not MC Jagger, not Bono, not even David Bowie. The person who ultimately brought Ozzy Osbourne to his knees, never to rise again, was the one who lay beside him every night. Sharon Osbourne, his wife, of more than 40 years and the sole person in charge of the vast empire that bore his name. Their marriage, once hailed as a lasting symbol of rock and roll devotion, gradually decayed behind the scenes. Everything exploded in 2016 when the Mirror published an exclusive headline, "Ozzy Osbourne cheats, Sharon kicked out of Buckinghamshire Mansion." The world didn't hold back in condemning Ozzy, branding him a traitor. But few knew that 2 years prior to the scandal, Sharon had quietly transferred $2.1 million from the Osbourne Touring Ludiae Fund to a small television company based in Los Angeles where she had partnered with a young producer named Alex Reno, then just 34 years old. Notably, Ozzy's name appeared nowhere in the contract. By April 2017, Ozzy officially filed for an audit accusing Sharon of exploiting her legal authority to misappropriate his personal assets. The British media immediately dubbed it the biggest financial divorce in music history. The Sun, NME, and Variety all jumped in to uncover shocking details, suspicious expenses, shell companies, and Sharon's secret purchase of the distribution rights for the live show Speak of the Devil. All done without informing Ozzy. The lawsuit was swiftly buried, not because a court made a ruling, but because an old clip suddenly went viral on Twitter just as Ozzy was preparing for his comeback album, Hell and Me. The footage from 1982 captured the infamous moment when he bit the head off a real bat on stage in Iowa. This time the global media revived the incident not with admiration but with brutal mockery. Daily Mail dubbed him a zombie-eating monster. Rolling Stone ran an editorial titled From Metal Rock Icon to Man Who Devoured Himself: The Tragedy of Ozzy. Even CBS aired a special segment quoting Sharon's spokesperson. She spent 20 years trying to save him. But you can't keep protecting someone who insists on destroying himself. Ozzy was subsequently dropped from all U.S. promotional deals. His 2020 tour was cancelled not due to the pandemic, but because no sponsor was willing to back it. Epic Records scrapped the entire release plan for his new album. According to Variety, he lost more than $9 million in just 8 months. In his final recorded message, Ozzy never once mentioned Sharon by name. But he left behind a line that broke hearts. I survived being stabbed in the back by friends being slandered, being cancelled. But I couldn't get back up after the one I loved the most silently pushed me down, then pulled her hand away in front of the whole world. It is truly a pity that Ozzy Osbourne passed away at the age of 76, leaving behind not only a legendary musical legacy, but also the secrets he had kept hidden throughout his entire life. Before closing his eyes for the final time, he chose to reveal 5 names. Those who, according to him, were the very people who pushed him into the darkness. Individuals who once stood shoulder to shoulder with him on stage, yet silently contributed to his gradual collapse behind the scenes. We may never truly know who he hurt him the most, but he spoke it all, and the rest he left for us to recognize and confront on our own. What about you? Who do you believe? Who do you think among them truly killed a part of Ozzy's soul? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, because what you've just heard is only the tip of the iceberg called the truth. This